Hey, I'm Noah, and this is Sounds Good, a how-to series offering you a behind-the-scenes look at all the cool stuff that I get to make as an audio producer. In this episode, I'm going to dive into some of the time-saving and quality-improving hacks that I use as a podcast producer. You might be surprised to learn that some of them are the same hack that will both improve the quality of your work and make it so that you can turn out work faster. The best way to save some time and end up with a better product in the end when you're working on podcasts, when you're working on really any sort of series in which you have some of the same assets that you're working with from show to show. For example, I'm working now on Left on Red episode 88. And with this show, I have the same intro music and the same outro music every time. And I automate them similarly every time. Now, dropping in music and automating some values in that music is time consuming. If it's going to be the same from episode to episode, there's no reason for me to do that over and over again. The trick is you just drop your new audio into an old project and then save it with the new title. Now, you could just as easily probably make a template in which you have those same assets that just exist in the template, and then you drop your new audio in and it's all good. Making a template is an extra step. I find I don't need to do that. I can just open up an old project and drop the new stuff in, and it's good. The other reason why you would want to do that, not just because of shared assets from project to project, the other reason you would want to do that is I get the same, not the same exact audio every time, but I get audio from a similar source every time when I'm working with it. These hosts that I work with for this show are using a Zoom recorder that I lent them, and they have not played with the input settings. They use the same mics in the same channels every time. So the stuff that they send me, I mean, you can see this is a pretty healthy signal that we're getting on each of these channels, which is great. It's dialed in, and it's going to be similar each and every time. So I can load it into these channels, and then I can run it through the same bus that I use for my dialogue. And it comes out sounding of a similar quality each and every time, comes out roughly at the same level each and every time because I'm running it through a particular sequence of gain staging. And so it saves me all that. I don't really do a whole lot of mixing. I do editing, but the mixing is already largely finished because I've done it in a previous iteration of the show. So that's huge. That'll save a ton of time. Load your new stuff into an old project, save it with a new name, get rid of some of the old stuff if the project starts to get cluttered, and you'll have a similar quality product every time without duplication of effort. And when you listen to and edit as much stuff as I do, you want to never duplicate effort that you don't have to duplicate. So let's get into some editing.
Come on.
Okay.
I'm a communist now.
Okay. Wow. Communist erasure.
Okay, but I was like, yeah, I am a communist. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Another thing you want to do is silence channels where someone's not speaking. Here we have one person speaking. They're speaking kind of loud, and this is not a perfectly treated room it's not a treated room at all that they're recording in. There's some soft surfaces, but it's not intentionally treated by any means. So these two microphones, I already cut this one. These two microphones are picking up some of this, which is, somewhat loud. So it's showing up here. This person here is not speaking.
Okay, but I was like, yeah, I am a communist.
We get like a little bit of a chuckle right here.
Communist erasure.
Okay, but
it's not worth saving. So I'm going to get rid of all of this up until this point. I guess I should make it clear why we're cutting the signal when nobody's speaking.
Yeah, it was after the Bernie campaign ended,
I'll do a little A and B. So that's A. That's with this signal still running. Here it is quieted.
it was after the Bernie campaign ended, I wanted to.
Here it is again.
After the Bernie campaign ended, I wanted. Bernie campaign ended, I wanted to.
So it's not super apparent right now, but sometimes when you have two signals in the same room, only one person is speaking. If you have the signal from the person who's not speaking too, you start to get a more complete picture of the ambience in the room, which is not something that you really want in dialogue. You just want the voice. You don't really want to be in the room with them. You just want the voice. So if you get rid of the other signal, then you get rid of some of the sound that's sort of splashing off of the other wall. So we like that.
To keep pushing towards the same goal. The campaign ended, but the movement continued in my eyes. And that also is connected to how I got involved with.
So here was a little pause that I don't think we need to get rid of. So I'm not going to cut it, but there is a breath. And it's a light breath. It's not a big deal, but just for illustrative purposes, I'm going to get rid of that breath and we'll see if we like it better that way.
And that also is connected to how I got involved with Amazon organizing as well. I mean, kind of looking back at the campaign, my thoughts were, Bernie was kind of trying to conjure.
So we could get rid of these are not bad breaths. Sometimes you get really sinusy breathing, and you want to get rid of that because sometimes you get clicks and stuff. And that's really hard on someone's ears. A really big wet breath. But if you just have light breathing, not a big deal. You can always still just get rid of it, but you don't necessarily want to cut it because these moments are of someone collecting their thoughts, and they provide a little bit of a cadence in the ideas that are being shared.
Joined another political science speaking club. It was the same thing. It wasn't about how we used our politics to help people. It was how we used our politics to get ahead.
Okay, we got a little mouth noise here, this little popping sound. So I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to get rid of the When it comes to I'd usually just get rid of them. And the reason why is because they are typically not the type of thing where you need an impactful moment. These, are less about taking your time and more about, I'm sort of not thinking, I'm not there yet.
Alongside me, based on this.
Okay, I'm going to get rid of this. So the way I'm going to do that, I'm a big fan of picking these up on the fly.
Based on this.
I haven't really dialed in the way these transients look yet. There are some people I edit where I know what their ums look like. And so what I'll do is I'll listen, and then in real time, if I see an coming up, if I see a pause and then a transient that I recognize as and then another pause, I'll just be ready with my Command T in Logic to just, slice on either side of the and then I can let it keep playing, grab the thing, delete it. Next time there's another slice, I can go back. I can zoom. I don't know why I'm trying to show you this with my fingers. I could just show you in real time. So yeah, I'm going to show you what this looks like in real time. So I'm going to press play.
Based on, this, like you were saying, this contradiction,
So I've got
we
my
all
thumb
work
on
together
command. My
and
finger's hovering
there's
over
100
T.
people getting oppressed by 5. I mean, yeah, that's a big contradiction there, and just got to help everyone recognize what's going on and
So here's a
that
pause
we can
coming
do
up.
something about it.
I just sliced once. I'm about to slice again.
So I worked at Amazon for over 2 years
Now I can
before I
delete this
transferred
piece.
to Maspeth. It was the same mindset. I was
Okay,
gonna go
I
to
think I've
work,
got an coming
trying to
up
make some
here.
friends there, just trying to figure out what I want to do with my life.
Oh shit. Okay, so you got to have this highlighted, right? That was about to be perfect. So I'll get another chance. But okay, so I got an right here. Good on me for recognizing that though. I don't even know this guy yet, but I can see what his ums look like. So I'm gonna slice here. I'm gonna press play, and I'll slice on the other side of it.
And I didn't know this yet, but I heard rumors from one of our coworkers,
Zoom out.
Ellie. She talked
rid of
about
this.
a sports league that's being tried to start up
rid
at
of
Amazon.
this.
I was like, cool. Because quite frankly,
grab
this being my
these.
third site, I was fiending for like
Move them
some kind
back.
of community involvement or some community
back.
building or something like that. And I fully ran with that
Extended
community
away.
building or something like that. And I fully ran with that. I met Ira. He was totally down with that too. I was just like, all right, cool. I mentioned I played Ultimate Frisbee and I wanted to like see if I could get that too. I was just like, all right, cool. I mentioned I played Ultimate Frisbee and I wanted to like see if I could get a game going, stuff like that. So we played pickup basketball. I brought like any kind of reversible penny I could. I was very excited. And then we played Frisbee. I was able to show up some throws and then we went for food and that was it. Now, that's how I met everyone. That's how I met Brendan. That's how I met Ira. That's how I met a lot of the other people who were with the organizing that happened at other warehouses but transferred to Maspeth. But I didn't know that they were there at that point to organize.
My original plan with this video was to take the audio from it and release that as an audio-only podcast as well. Unfortunately, I realized while I was editing the video that I was going to be missing too much if I didn't have those visual cues that were included in the video format. So what I did was I went back and scripted up a podcast episode so that I could cover all the same bases, but do so without relying on the visual cues. And so what I've ended up with as a result is two different things, a video and an audio podcast. And I think they work really nicely as companion pieces. So much so that if you're enjoying the video, I'd recommend checking out the podcast. In order to steer you in that direction, for tip number 5, I'm just going to give you a teaser of that podcast episode. So here we go. Finally, tip number 5. This is sort of a big picture idea that applies to how you use all of these other tips, and that is to always be thinking about your listener. In situations where you're working with scarce time or other resources, you have to make choices about how you will use these resources. If you go into these choices with your listener in mind, with a good idea of what they like about your show, about what they will tolerate and won't tolerate, you'll be more likely to make the right choice. For example, taking out ums can be really time-consuming. Writing good, original transition music is also really time-consuming. If you can only do one of those things, you should pick the one that will result in the more enjoyable experience for your listener. What will they forgive and what will they not forgive? For my twice weekly show, my listener has gotten used to episodes without any music in the episode, just the intro and outro. They like it when I do add music, but I know that if I'm pressed for time, they will accept unscored episodes. If I start putting out episodes with major errors in my editing, though, they will notice that and they won't be happy about it. So What is a treat versus a non-negotiable? What can you provide with just a small marginal cost to your resources versus something that will have to wait until you have a more substantial time surplus? So that'll do it for this episode of Sounds Good. If you are liking what you are hearing or viewing, be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you're doing your listening or viewing. It's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcasts. Chances are, if there is a platform that you use for media, you can find it there. If you have the time and the desire, you can also give it a rating and a review. That would really help to get it in front of more people. And with that, thanks so much for hanging out. Until next time.